We know Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but can archaeology tell us exactly where? Here's CBN CEO Gordon Robertson and writer and director Erin Zimmerman again talking about Written in Stone, Jesus of Nazareth.
Well, let's turn to Bethlehem, and one of the most beautiful churches I've been to, and certainly it's the oldest church in Christianity, the Church in the Nativity. What does the film say about that?
We go back all the way with this one, too. We go back to 100 years after Jesus was born, to the 2nd century, to one of the church fathers named Justin Martyr. He went to Bethlehem and he inquired of the locals. He wanted to know where was Jesus born. And the locals took him to this cave, this spot that is where that church is now. So 100 years after that, another church father named Origen went to that same spot. Now, this is 100 years apart, and the locals are still showing him the same exact spot. And now, 100 years after that, Constantine's mother, Helena, has come to the Holy Land, and her son, the new emperor, has said, find all these holy sites. So she goes to the locals and says, where is the spot that Jesus was born? And they show her the same spot. Okay, so that's 3 Christian people that have documented it. Now we'll go back to the Romans again. I said earlier that they built the temples on the holy spots. Well, they went out to Bethlehem and they built a temple to Adonis on the spot of Jesus' birth. Now, Bethlehem was a backwater. There was no reason that any Roman temple should be there. It had no importance. It was a tiny little village. So why would you go to all the trouble to build a giant pagan temple if that was not considered a holy spot? So we're going back to the early history. And as you said, it's the oldest church that's been in continuous use. So the tradition is great there. Now, can we say inside the church there's a little star on the floor in the cave and it says Jesus was born here? Can we say that's legitimate? No. But we can say somewhere on the grounds of that church, that was the home of Joseph's family.
Let's turn to what I consider one of the surprises. I've been to Israel many times, going all the way back to 1969. And I didn't know about this one. It's Zion Church. It's right in the middle of Jerusalem. What's the significance of that?
You get on a tour bus in Israel, and it is not going to take you here. It's on Mount Zion, the place where the upper room, or the place that they consider to be the upper room on Mount Zion. If you go just a few steps out, kind of toward a parking lot, it's a bit strange looking. There's sort of a cage over it because people were throwing trash down in it. But you go underground, and it's this combination of synagogue and church. You walk right in. Down the steps is a mikveh, which is a Jewish ritual bath, and which we believe they later used to baptize people in. And keep in mind, most of the believers at that time in Jerusalem were Jewish. On the steps, and there's a little sort of a gathering room, and then there are underground tunnels, and there are trapdoors, which tells us, number one, that was constructed in a time of persecution when they felt like they were going to need a way of escape because somebody was going to come and stop them. Number two, the plaster down there that is on the walls does date to the 1st century, which was shortly after the time of Christ. So that could be, there's a strong tradition on Mount Zion that that's the place where the Last Supper took place, and that's the place where Pentecost took place. So there was, from very early on, the Christians considered that to be a significant place. And so this again is not something you're going to see on a tour bus, but if you go to Israel with me someday, I'll take you.
All right. Watch out. People will take you up on that. All right, Erin, thank you for being with us, and thank you for all that you do, the writing, the directing, these wonderful films. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Alpha, Omega.